Today, once again, we're talking about video in terms of how video can really help us as a security company to take our personal brand and our professional brand to that of the next level. And just really quickly, I don't want to spend too much time in this, but just for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we're a marketing agency. We only work with security companies, including dealers, integrators, and on the vendor side. And when I say marketing, talking about web, talking about video, talking about social, search, email content, digital ads, etc. I will say this, we are better off when our associations are flourishing. And as much as I would like to see this list grow, we're going to have this list grow here over time. We are proud members of SIA, ESA, TMA, the Integration Association of Florida, CAA. I do expect for this to continue to grow over time. This is our industry, and let's do great things together. In terms of myself, I believe most of us, we are connected on that of LinkedIn, but if for some reason we aren't connected on LinkedIn, please use this QR code here. I'd love to connect with you, and let's continue this conversation. I will say this, I mean, I've been very blessed and very fortunate to speak at many of the industry's biggest events. And I was very fortunate to moderate a panel in a very important discussion a couple of weeks back on AVS-01, which if you don't know more about AVS-01, do a Google search or visit PPVAR's website or TMA's website to learn more about it. But I've been very, very blessed to speak at many of the industry's events. And in terms of speaking of that, this next month, I'm really honored to be moderating a panel on a really important topic. So if you're going to be live at PSA Tech, I'd look forward to spending some time together. We've got a panel of experts in terms of a wholesale provider and the CEO of President CEO of iForce, as well as a few dealers that really are incorporating video, and really excited about this discussion this next month. And then also during that same week, later in the week, Paul and I will be at, and by the way, for those of you that know my wife will be there as well, at the Palm Springs convention. So I look forward to seeing you at an upcoming event. But here's the thing, let's get into today's discussion. One of the challenges, like never in the history of how we do business have things been so just a mile a second. There's so many things that are here to not just distract us, but they distract our customers. And what I mean by that is, like, number one, especially for those of us that are working with either commercial end users, or let's just say if we're on the vendor side, working with the dealer side, there's multiple decision makers. And because of this device, meaning the mobile phone, etc., and social media, we're bombarded by hundreds, if not thousands, of messages every single day. And it's like, how do we stand out in a really crowded market? And obviously video is one of the big pieces of that. And there are many other things that we can do as well. But really, one of the big important pieces of your puzzle, of your marketing puzzle, your sales and marketing puzzle is video. And here's the thing. When we are spending time with individuals and showcasing value and demonstrating how we can help, video is something that will really, video is an opportunity to do things at scale. Whereas I may be speaking, well, if I'm speaking on stage, I'm speaking one to many. But if we're having this one-on-one conversation, video is an opportunity for you to be almost everywhere, to be omnipresent. It is an opportunity for you to build trust. And remember, in terms of trust, and we've talked about this, for those of you that have been on sessions before, remember, it's all a matter of know, like, and trust. Because remember, most of our prospects are out of market. And as a reminder, what that means is they're not actively searching for what we do. And this is why it's critical and it's important for us to make sure that we're present where they spend their time, whether it's physically in person, i.e. events, etc., as well as virtually. And that's across various social platforms, search engines, etc. And it's a matter of building ourselves as the authority so that when they transition from out of market to in market, in other words, they're actively searching for what we do, they're coming to us. And we like our chances when they know who it is that we are, they like us, they trust us. And they understand, because it's a prospect that really is able to come in it's kind of like that of referral, what have you. But with video, it's also an opportunity to really showcase our work, not just visually, but to utilize multiple senses in terms of that of audible as well as video. And I touched on this in terms of attracting high quality leads, but here's the thing. When you build a relationship with someone and they know, like, and trust you, they understand who you are, they come more pre-positioned to buy, as opposed to it's all about the what is the Glengarry Glen Ross? It's all about the leads, the golden leads and things in that regard. And when you're utilizing tools like video, it helps you to have those leads that are pre-positioned to buy. So really quickly, in terms of what we're going to be covering over these next few minutes, we're going to be talking about the power of video for that of security professionals. We'll talk about some of the key video formats. And when I say for every goal, we'll talk about this and we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive. But video is not just to generate new business from new prospects. We'll talk about some of the essential video tools. We'll talk about that of your video toolkit. And then we're going to actually spend a few minutes and we're going to get off of slides and we'll actually demo a few of these tools in action. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, I think all of us know that, I'd mentioned a few minutes ago about how interactivity is really, really important. And I will say this, I'm going to participate in this one as well. But we have a few questions here via Slido, and if you can just quickly, and I appreciate those of us that have gotten started already, if you can just quickly share your thoughts on this. What I want you to take into consideration is this data is for those of us that are watching things live, as well as on demand, to be able to see where do we rank amongst our peers, amongst that of the groups that we work with in terms of the industry. So let me go ahead and, so let's see, Morgan, I know that you just raised your hand. Would it be possible for you to share something in the chat if you're okay with everyone knowing what it is? That would be great. If you only want me to know and I won't repeat what you shared, then if you just send that directly to me, that would be greatly appreciated. Oh, Morgan, all good. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, that means that you were saying hi to me. So thank you. Okay, apologies for the delay on this, everyone. So in terms of this, next question, if we can once again just, so what's the biggest, if you take into consideration, what's the one word that describes your biggest challenge with that of video? And I will go ahead and do the same. And it's going to be interesting to see because this is now a word bubble. So this is a word bubble, and it's going to be, so as individuals type in the same thing as others, and by the way, before I forget to let everyone know, keep in mind this is anonymous, so I don't know who typed what, so I appreciate everyone keeping things professional. I don't know who types what in terms of what you're selecting, but once again, this is really, really helpful so that each of us can see as to where it is that we are. And I only have just a couple of other questions, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. But this will also help. This will also help. And by the way, for those of you, I'm not going to reference everyone's names, but for those of you that raise your hand, if you can just type in the chat as to what your question is, and then I can address that. And if you're okay with everyone knowing, by the way, in the chat, just as a reminder, if you send it only to like host and panelist or to then I will not reference your name. If you send it to everyone, then that'll be my cue that it's okay for me to reference you by name. I want to be respectful of everyone's privacy. So, Kalia, if I pronounced that correctly, if you wouldn't mind sending a chat, that would be greatly appreciated. And Zoe, with the note that we're trading back and forth, if you wouldn't mind working directly with him, I'd greatly appreciate that. And to find out as to what it is that that was specifically about. But okay, so in terms of what's one word that describes your biggest challenge with video, I'll share what I shared, and that's time. And I think this is where leveraging, to me, bandwidth is the same thing in content. I mean, these are all really, really good, ideas. I mean, this is actually really helpful. And, maybe perhaps as I'm thinking out loud about this, this is something that we can write an upcoming Marketing Madman article on SDM Magazine about this specific thing and touch on these things. So I really, really appreciate everyone's feedback. We'll quickly just go to the next question, which is, if you can just rank these types of videos in order of what you're most interested in creating. So this is where, perfect. I just addressed mine. So if we can, once again, we'll give everyone a moment. So if you click on the one that is that from your perspective, what's most interesting, and then just in that ranking order, that would be great. Yeah, well, first of all, I'm glad to see that there's a diversity here, which this is good. And it's going to be interesting as those are ranking things. We'll give everyone just a moment. But once again, as you've went through this yourself, take into consideration what's important to your peers as well. We'll give this just another 10 seconds or so while we have individuals that are actually ranking things. And once again, thank you very much, everyone, for for that of actively participating in this. Okay. And we have just a few more individuals that are engaging with this. So we'll give just another 5 seconds or so. And I'm gonna 3, 2, and 1. Okay. And then just last question for right now, which is select all that apply. This actually would be interesting. I'd like to see which are the tools that everyone is using. I would imagine we're going to have 100% on Zoom. That makes sense, being that we're all on Zoom now, but it's not just from the participant perspective. We want to be leveraging Zoom with that of your customers as well. Okay, so we'll give this just another moment as well. And this actually does not surprise me with what we're seeing here. We're going to showcase and share some of these, as I mentioned, a few of these tools as best as time permits here momentarily. So we'll give this just another couple seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and get into content here. Okay. Oh, you know what? All right. My apologies. This is, I believe, the last one. So what's the first type of video that you're interested in creating after this webinar? So curious to see as to what your thoughts are. And I'm going to participate in this one as well. Wonderful. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. It's while we're giving everyone just another moment or so just to engage with this. It is with these two that are on top. I mean, to be honest, all 4 of these are really, really important. And I know that it's basically we asked what's the first, but I'd encourage all of us to leverage all of these, because here's the thing. We talk about, it goes without saying as to why video is important for sales, being able to really build your brand in terms of LinkedIn. I will say this, like, FAQs, we're going to talk about this more in detail, and testimonials, we're going to talk about this more in detail. These are all huge opportunities to be able to amplify the good news about what it is that you're doing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on, and I think we are now ready to rock and roll. Okay, so we talked about this a little earlier about know, like, and trust. And keep in mind, like, trust is like it's one of the big currencies, because keep in mind, when we're talking about from the sales perspective or from even the existing customer's perspective, when we have someone that trusts us, they know, they like, they trust us, they understand, they don't just necessarily know our logo and the fact that we do X, in our case, security, but they know the types of security we do. They know the types of customers we work with. If you really think about it, this is an opportunity for us to really build our personal as well as our company brand so that they're coming pre-positioned to buy. And remember, when we talked about that of the existing customer base, keep in mind with the existing customer base, I mean, I'm gonna ask for not a virtual show of hands, but I would imagine that we all will appreciate what I'm about to state, which is most of us, like with the customers that we work with, only a very small percentage of our customers work with everything we do. Like if we're on the vendor side, let's say we offer multiple products, or we offer, let's say if we're a service provider, we offer multiple services. Our customers typically are not going to be working with us at 100%. And conversely, on the integrator dealer side, let's say that we offer the big 4, the big 5 in terms of the services that we provide. Usually our customers may be on the average working with like 1.5 or 2 of the things that we do, but not all the things we do. And that's why, once again, it is important for us to market to our existing base. Video is a big piece of that, because we want to build trust. We want to make sure it's crystal clear as to what we do and all that good stuff. And here's the thing. By the way, in terms of non-video assets that we create, keep in mind, like, video can really help to build trust much more quickly and at scale. And here's the thing. We take into consideration visual demonstrations. It's an opportunity to see in action. It's like, for example, I know today is not like a sales presentation on SD marketing, But imagine if we were showcasing, demonstrating some of the things that we've done, demonstrating some of the results that we've generated, how things work, etc., so on and so forth. It really it helps to walk you through that process to understand how our way of thinking goes about. And I want you to transition this into yourselves individually, because I know we've got a very diverse group here that is on. And here's a really big thing. This number 2 bullet, emotional connection. And I'm gonna probably butcher this, but it's like we make decisions. Okay, I'm gonna totally butcher this, but hopefully you'll get where I'm going with this. It's like our gut and our mind are really these are things that go together hand in hand in terms of like when we know, like, and when we like someone and we feel like we're emotionally connected to that individual, like we're buying from people. And that's why it's important to build an emotional connection. And by the way, I don't have any like slicks or what have you. I mean, this is one of my cue cards from a talk that I gave at ISC West. But like, if I'm showcasing just a sales slick or what have you, as opposed to showcasing emotion, fluctuating my voice, highlighting certain key things, etc., so on and so forth, it allows for an opportunity to build that emotional connection. And keep in mind, this is just a couple of examples of this in terms of like client reviews as well as project walkthroughs. And really, in terms of this, in terms of building that emotional connection, it really allows you to, it really allows you to that of feel like you get to know this individual. I'm going to ask for those of you that are present here live in the chat, type a 1 in the chat if you feel as if you know me, especially for those of you that have been on these webinars more than once. I know a number of you, as I'm looking through all of the attendees, the dozens and dozens of us that are here, and I'm just still going through a number of you I know very well, but not all of you I know very, very well. And I would imagine that like as we go through these and you're in that of these types of sessions, it's like it builds things. And I say this because keep in mind, everything that I'm sharing today and that I share in these webinars, I want you to put yourself in these shoes and how can this work with you? So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not going to name your names because you're all sharing this to host and panelists, but thank you. appreciate everyone here with your kind feedback. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so keep in mind, and we touched base on this a little earlier, but here's the thing. Presuming we're a security company offering product line X, Y, or Z, what's unique about what we do? And one of the things that we can do is we can have it in the way that we position ourselves from the sales and marketing perspective, in the way that we communicate. And it allows us to really help to differentiate ourselves when we may potentially be not the only game in town that offers solution X. And by the way, obviously, there are other things that we can do to really look to help differentiate ourselves in terms of other things that we're not going to get into today. But one of the ways that we can do this is by doing things differently. Because by the way, I mean, there are 15, 16,000 security companies today. And as much as I'd love for us to have thousands of individuals watching this live, we're not. And I commend you for taking time out of your day to really look to level up your skills in today's case in video. So in terms of, in terms of creating video, I'm very blessed and fortunate in that I've got, we've got tens of thousands of dollars of video equipment here. And I know that I'm using a fancy camera, a DSLR camera here. But here's the thing. all of us have one of these. All of us have one of these. And it is an opportunity for us to like this. These are now powerful devices. And I know that I'm in a small square in the side, so it may be hard to see. But in terms of our smartphones, like we all have a smartphone. We all have cameras and video cameras in that of our pocket, in our pocket, excuse me. And keep in mind, I know I've got lighting here and I've got stuff behind me and all these other good things, but like, remember, perfection is the enemy of getting things done. And here's the thing, like these phones, like there are actually movies and short films that are actually captured on that of iPhones or Android devices or what have you. So don't think that just because you don't have fancy devices, you can go to Amazon and get a selfie stick for $10, $15 if your hands are a little too shaky with things to help, to help so that you can steady things a little bit. There are things that I don't have them out of the box right now. I have them packed away, but there are things that will have lights as well as have microphones in this regard that don't cost very much money. But here's the thing, it is an opportunity, when we are speaking or spending time and going through end user client deployments, it's an opportunity to really just once again, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, and while they're standing right next to you, and really just showcase and demonstrate things as we're going through things together. Keep in mind, because a lot of these things that we're sharing, these are not things that are widely done. If you take into consideration whether it's video reviews, whether it's walkthrough of a project, because whether it's demonstrating and maybe at the end of the before and then the end, and we're using it for marketing purposes, but we're also using it to have video footage of ensuring these are all the things that we do. It could be behind the scenes. Maybe, for example, we are testing out our products because maybe part of our value prop is we really are, every single fine detail is key and critical. Where I'm going with this is we can, let's just say, we're testing everything in advance so that when we come, whether it's a resi end user or a commercial end user, rather than us testing things out there, we're doing as much as we can to preset things up in advance. And that's part of our value prop. And by the way, if these are things that you're doing, these are things that we should be communicating your marketing, and once again, right now, as I mentioned, I'm in my office. Maybe things are a little more corporate-esque or what have you. But when we're on the road and we're using our smartphone, it's more, once again, that raw is real, and it can be perceived as and put you in a position where you're humanizing yourself and you're just demonstrating and giving value. So let's talk for just a couple of minutes about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a huge opportunity for us. And we're not going to get into too much detail about the why of LinkedIn. But in terms of leveraging LinkedIn, and this, by the way, regardless as to whether you have tens of thousands of followers and connections, or whether you have just a few dozen, because keep in mind, a few dozen and having that benchmark and just building things over time can really be that foundation that will withstand the test of time. But here's the thing. In LinkedIn, we can develop some of these short videos. And when I say short videos, keep in mind the attention span on social media versus that of, let's say, like a YouTube is very, very different. We're going to actually talk about that a little bit more in detail here in just a moment. But these are just some examples of things that you can do to really help build your thought leadership. And I'll speak for myself once again. I am very blessed and very fortunate that whenever I go to events, I have individuals, some of them that I know very well, some individuals that I have actually not had the opportunity to meet. And we have quick conversations or sometimes long conversations. And it's as if, it's as if they share with me, it's as if I know you really well, Dave. And it's because of things like this. It's because of the things that are shared on LinkedIn. So I challenge you to share the things that you know very, very well, and spend time daily on LinkedIn and things in that regard to share that of insights that you know very well, share quick tips, things that, once again, that you take for granted, but that others may not. And then some of the FAQs that you receive during the sales process, why not share those things in advance? And by the way, those should also be listed on your website as well. So in terms of reviews or testimonials, this is an opportunity to be able to post these things on that of LinkedIn so we can amplify that. And when this is done, be sure to actually tag those individuals, tag the individual as well as their company name. And by the way, as you have a few of these that are up and running, some of them inherently are going to have more engagement than others. And by the way, here's a little insider tip. The ones that have more engagement than others, what would make sense is to add a little bit of ad dollars to boost that, because if it is organically generating a lot of engagement with that organic following, when you boost it, as opposed to just boosting all of them, that's going to put you in a much better position to get more bang for your buck. And then we've talked about this already, but in terms of project spotlights, I mean, remember, all of us are professionals at what we do, and we want to make sure that we are showcasing that of before and afters, showcasing our work, and all these other good things. So in terms of enhancing interactions with that of video, what we want to do is want to make sure that we're simplifying. Here's the thing, like we get a lot of FAQs from the sales as well as the support perspective. And as we are demonstrating some of these things on video, number one, it's like the best of all these worlds. Number one, we're getting ourselves out there. Your competitors are not doing this. Number three, you're sharing high value content that is just because remember, we are competing with hundreds, if not thousands, of other impressions from our competitors as well as other things, other types of businesses and ads. And when we're competing for those impressions with that of our customers. And we want to remember, position ourselves into who they know, like, and trust. The other thing is like with video, instead of this super, super long email, why not have a bulleted version of that and have a personalized, like a video explainer that's communicating. I'm going to share a couple of tools here in just a couple of minutes that will actually that can be used in conjunction with this that will really, really help. But here's the thing is we want to make sure that we're clear and we're it's like in our marketing, we don't want to be one-way voice. We're just sharing. We want to make sure that we have feedback that's coming to us. And with video, it really is conducive to be able to generate that of feedback. And I'm sorry, I'm just reading a quick note from a good friend of mine here. Well, I won't reference your name, but the last individual that sent a chat, very, very kind of you. I really appreciate those kind words, and it was just reinforcing what I had mentioned a little earlier. So, okay, so how do we attract your ideal customers with video? Well, first things first is we are showcasing and demonstrating work of groups that are like your ideal customer persona or your ideal prospect. And here's the thing. If we have, it's like, keep in mind, let's just say if we're a commercial security company working in, let's just say the automotive, like the automotive industry is like one of the vertical markets we focus on is like auto dealerships or RV dealerships or what have you. We have a specific solution. What we want to do is, build these little mini case studies. Whereas, and once again, this can be done with this device here and with a tripod stand. It does not have to be super fancy. And I'm not saying that there's not a time and a place for that, but it doesn't have to be, because remember, those are the things that are the enemy of getting things done. So where I'm going with this is the questions that we would want to ask is, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, can you share with us a little bit about what your challenge, like, why were you looking to enhance your existing system, or why were you looking to get a security system? And regardless as to what they say, there's no right or wrong answer, because their answer is going to resonate with others. And then ultimately we can follow up with, well, what was the process like, and why did you select our group? And they can share case in their words as to why. Maybe perhaps they went to bid with a few other groups. Maybe they spoke with a couple different groups. Maybe they only spoke with you because they were looking to transition from their previous provider, whether they just weren't feeling the love or they felt like they were not able to help, or perhaps they went out of business, or whatever the case may be. And there's once again no right or wrong answer, because these answers are going to resonate with others. And then the follow-up is like, okay, so now that it's been deployed, share a little bit of the results, like what's happened. And this is where they can showcase and really, like, these are things that will resonate with others. So, with the testimonial / success stories, these are things that go hand in hand. And then once again, keep in mind, and I know that we've shared this a couple of times, but like in terms of some of the common questions that are asked, it's like, have you ever been in a sales call, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person? It's like, man, I wish what we just discussed was like recorded, because others would actually have those same kinds of questions. And my point being here is, as you start to get some of the objections that you have, some of those FAQs, document those things. And as time permits, talk about those in video and leverage them across all of your marketing platforms. Because once again, this just, it helps. If you remember a few minutes ago, when we asked the question about, like, one of the questions was, well, I need ideas as to what to talk about. And if we really think about it, we flip things around, we all know what are some great things to talk about. We just need to look at it from a different perspective, because it doesn't have to just be these fancy topics or what have you. So, let's talk for a minute about how we streamline operations without a video. When we are, like, keep in mind, I know I talked about for new business, we talked about existing customers, but video can be helpful in terms of onboarding, whether it's new customers or whether it's onboarding new members of the team. And here's the thing, it's like, and I'll say we're guilty of this, but like it is so important to make sure that you're consistent in terms of like training and onboarding, whether it's with new customers or with new team members, so that there's a consistency, because we want to be repeating these processes to a T. And there's an opportunity to do that with leveraging that of these training videos from the onboarding perspective. From that of like, let's just say with some of the equipment, whether it's, and mind you, some of you are going to say, Dave, we don't want to do that, but I'm just using this as an example, whether it's like changing of a battery or some of these FAQs that come in, or some of the common questions with like the equivalent of a tier 1 support. It's like, as we have these things and we communicate the fact that, to our customer base, that the reason why we do this is we want to make sure that Murphy's Law, it's like, this is at a very inopportune time or what have you. We want to make sure that we have videos that are demonstrating some of the commonly challenges, like who do we contact for support for this or this or this? And we demonstrate really quickly as to like who we call for what. When you want to upgrade, just all of these various support and potential sales upsell opportunities. We want to walk through that. And then the other thing is like, and this is once again, whether it's with customers or with your team, it's process walkthroughs. And by the way, we'll showcase some of the video tools that can be used specifically for these, in terms of, just making sure that we want to make sure that like the process itself is once again consistent. So jumping now back to the sales perspective, here's the thing, it's especially on the commercial side. I know on the resi side, we have the ability to be more of that 1-call close, or maybe 1 to 2-call close. But on the commercial side, some of us have sales cycles that can be months, if not potentially years. And the thing is, as we're leveraging video with these various things, what this can do is this can help to shorten that of the sales cycle, because once again, we want to make sure that we are touching our prospects on an ongoing basis. Once again, whether it's our prospect that's not done business with us, or all of our customers for upsell opportunities and things in that regard. I'll really quickly touch about this. So on occasion for us, we have individuals that we speak with, and they're like, I send me a proposal. I'm like, well, we'd like to walk you through it, but it's like, well, just send it to me. And rather than us just sending it, what we will typically do is we can create a video that demonstrates exactly, like, that'll walk you through it. Because the other thing is if you don't have all the decision makers in the room as well, and you have the individual that you spoke with that's looking to, let's just say, try and communicate the value prop to another party, if you send the proposal along with a video that's walking you through it, it is not leaving things to chance. So I'd like for you to take these things into consideration in that of your how you approach your sales. So let's talk a little bit about the actual tools themselves. So Zoom itself, which obviously we're all familiar with Zoom. I think there was like close to 100% of us that said that we leverage Zoom. But like Zoom, of course, can be used for all the various applications. I'm not going to spend too much time. I do want to spend a little more time on Loom. And I will say here, it's interesting. A number of years back, it was explained to me. It's like when I'd heard of Loom, but I didn't really know much about Loom. I'm like, well, can you, to the individual that was sharing this with me, I'm like, can you explain to me what's the difference between Loom and Zoom? Because they're both video platforms. And I think this will actually resonate with everyone. Like, with that of, once again, the actual smartphone itself. Imagine Zoom is like making a phone call, whereas Loom is like sending a text message. And as I demonstrate this a little later, this is going to make a lot more sense. But the things that you can do with this, in terms of, we just talked about the sales proposal, you can literally, and I'm going to show this, I'm not going to spend too much time on this right now, but you can do a lot of things that's a lot more powerful than just sending a static email, if that makes sense. Because once again, all of the senses, all of the things, everything about you in terms of personalizing things or what have you can be communicated with that. The key here, though, is, and these are just 2 of hundreds of tools, by the way, and I mean hundreds, if not thousands of tools. The key here is to, choose the right one for yourself, or the right ones for yourself, and to understand, like, what are these tools best for, if that makes sense. So a couple of tools that I'll just really quickly talk about. And once again, I'm gonna demo Descript here in just a couple of minutes, but Canva is, for us, obviously, once again, we're a marketing agency and we utilize like our core design team, we utilize that of Photoshop or the Adobe suite of products. But we also utilize other tools as well, including like a Canva. So Canva can help with not just video editing, but actually graphic design and things in that regard. And some of the things, and what I will say about these two tools, whereas whether it's Adobe Premiere or Adobe After Effects or Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator, those things are like way over my head. Like you've got to have a PhD in design, and kudos to our design team here that like they use these tools every day and like they anyhow. But like with these tools, these are tools that incorporate AI as well as they're really simple and easy to use. And for Canva, there's a free version and a paid version. For Descript, it's not very expensive, but there's a paid version of this as well. But it's once again, it's a lot less expensive than hiring that of a video editor. But like with Canva, from the video perspective, we can create eye-catching thumbnails. And by the way, thumbnails are really important because once again, from the algorithms of the social properties, whether it's like a YouTube, the #2 search engine, or any of the socials, the thumbnail is really important because remember, as we are scrolling through, it's like we literally have like split seconds or what have you. So that's really important. We can create text overlays, or like when I say a text overlay, meaning let's just say for me, if I was doing a video, we would say like David Morgan, co-founder of SD Marketing, or if I've got my CAA marketing chair hat on or what have you, CAA marketing chair as an example. And there's some basic editing things that can be done. Whereas once again, Descript on the other hand, it's a lot more powerful and you can edit videos using text. I'm going to actually demonstrate this in just a couple of minutes. You can add captions. What I mean by captions is I think probably most of you that engage with me on LinkedIn, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like the words that are coming through at the bottom so that you're not only listening to me, you're watching me, but you're actually reading along as I'm saying the words, which is once again, there's a reason behind that because many individuals are watching video on social, just FYI, without sound. And if that's the case, that's hence where the captions you can see as to what it is that I'm actually saying. And you can even create highlight reels. By the way, Descript is really taking steps in the right direction. There are many things that have just come out and things that are continued to come out. And Descript is more of a video-esque type platform. So I'll share with you just a couple of other quick video toolkits. Excuse me, a couple of other video platforms. And once again, there are hundreds of these platforms. There's hundreds of these platforms, but like when you take into consideration like a Wistia or a BombBomb, I'll share with you some specific examples of things. And by the way, if you may want to take pictures of these or take a look into these yourself, and some of these are going to be very like either free with limited or very low cost on a monthly basis. But like with Wistia and BombBomb, it allows you to, rather than just sending static emails, it allows you through their platforms to not only create the video, to edit the videos, but to send the videos to prospects or to existing customers. And you get a lot of data and analytics. And what I mean by that is it'll share with you when did the individual that you sent this to open it, how long of the video did they consume of it. It'll include call to actions. And I'm just scratching the surface in terms of some of the applications or some of the things that it does. Like with that of Vidyard, Vidyard is more of an overall video ecosystem or platform itself. And I'll tell you what, I could have had dozens and dozens and dozens of these tools. There are many tools. There are many tools, including like a Big View, a Clips, an iMovie. And once again, that are things where you can like edit that of video on your phone. And by the way, if you're in Instagram or with some of these other like Facebook as an example, or even just your operating system on the phone, it does have that of editing capabilities. And once again, it is not critical to have perfection with these. We just want to get these out. And the key here is consistency. It's not like I'm going to do 1 or 2 or 3 videos for a month or so, and then just, well, I didn't see anything. It's like, no, you've got to remember, methodical and steady video marketing wins the race. So let's talk about like Okay, we've been talking about all this great stuff about video, but it's like, where do we begin? How do we get started? And how do we not have analysis paralysis? Awesome. So I won't reference your name, but thank you very much. But CapCut is a good editor. So thank you very much. Appreciate you sharing that with the group. And that's CAPCUT. So CapCut is a good editor as well. So thank you very much. In terms of where we get started. So let's figure out what's the very first video that we want to get started off with. Is it a sales video? Is it a tip? Is it a review / testimonial? Is it an FAQ? It's like, what do we want to do? And let's not make it super long. And by the way, there are, if, you know, with that, I'm not going to demo all the things with Descript, but Descript will actually move your eyes. If time permits, maybe I'll do that. But, you know, if you just, to get started, it's like you would feel really comfortable reading off a script. That's where like a big view, but there's a number of these tools on your phone that will, while you're looking into your phone, it'll actually have this script on your phone itself so that it's as if you're looking into the camera. I happen to not use things like that. Because to me, it's just a matter of, I need my bullets. And then it's like, all right, even if I screw it up, it's not perfect. I need to be engaging, looking directly into the camera. So, figure out as to what format and what types of video makes most sense. And remember, like, start small. Like, I say this because I have analysis paralysis and I have like, what is this? The squirrel syndrome, where it's like, as the team knows, it's like, I got to stay focused. And it's like, what do we want to do and stay focused on that? And when we say select a primary platform to share, it doesn't necessarily have to, I mean, look, all things being equal, when you go to like 102 and 103, when you get more progressive, you technically should be making something specific for LinkedIn versus Facebook versus Instagram versus YouTube. And here's why. The mindset of users of these platforms is very different. It's like when we're on YouTube, we're more conducive to watching long form because that's what we're there for. We're there to get educated. Whereas with Facebook or Instagram, as an example, we're there for fun or friends or family, or, you know, maybe that's where we get our news. Whereas LinkedIn, we're looking to enrich our career. But my point being here is on the social platforms, we're used to doing this: scroll, 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 as opposed to like with that of YouTube. Now, obviously, with YouTube, there's shorts there as well, but select that primary platform. Make sure that you're recording in the right, in the right format. In other words, like, do you want to record landscape or portrait? There's a benefit to both. I know we're running a little low on time, so I'm not going to get too long-winded because I want to show these demo these platforms in just a moment. But keep in mind, like, the metrics that matter is we want to be analyzing the types of videos that we do. And by the way, diversify, split test, do things differently. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have some videos that are going to perform better than others. And as you're analyzing the metrics, that will be helpful for you. Keep in mind, like, one thing I'll just point out, and I touched base on this a little earlier, is as you start to build up your FAQs, let's just say that you get a lot of calls about the same types of things. As you have text-based and video-based FAQs, track to see as to whether you have a reduction of support calls. And it's not that, look, we are all in the people business, and it's not that we don't want to be speaking with our customers, but like sometimes our customers don't have the time and the desire to speak with us, and they just need an answer quickly. So this is where we want to make sure that we're giving our customers the opportunity to do business with us on their terms. A couple of pitfalls to take into consideration is like lighting. Lighting is really, really important. I know we've all seen videos and pictures where it's just really dark. I happen to have two lights here. I have more lighting, but these lights are good enough. If you are, like, keep in mind, you don't want to have light behind you. You want to have light in front of you. So like if you're on the phone, you want to have the light facing you, not the other way around, because then it's going to make you really, really dark. You don't want to be having the shaky footage, especially if this is your first or second video. And that's where, like, once again, that selfie stick or that tripod that you can hold in your hand will help so that you can have more stabilization. And then, keep in mind, by the way, I'm very guilty of this myself in terms of rambling on and on and on. And speaking of that, let me not ramble on. Like really, even if it's 15 to 30 seconds, 10 seconds, plan out what your talking points are, make sure you feel confident about it, and go ahead and get done. And it doesn't have to be memorized because we don't want it to sound like it's rehearsed. And the other thing is, and it is not just, we don't have to have fancy equipment. We had, I'll finish with this on this slide, which is over time, as you can say, you know what, I can justify investing more and more. This is where we can upgrade strategically as our video needs grow. What I will say here is, and I know we're slowly but surely running out of time here, but like, we want to trim things for impact. So like, for example, on that of our on our phones and some of the tools that are the reference and I'll demonstrate, we can actually trim or we can condense that of the video so that we want to make sure, because we have the attention span that's less than the goldfish, we want to make sure that we are as we are focused on the things that are going to really make an impact. Adding the right type of music, maybe we want something that's like dependent. We want something that's going to be maybe like a high energy. We want something that maybe is more, that has more of that like emotional caring impact. Dependent upon what we're looking to achieve with the video, we want to add some music to that. And there are royalty-free services out there that will allow to add music to that of your video. And then remember, we talked about text overlays, the significance of them, because sometimes video or not is not played, especially on social, with audio. And then like, we want to have clear call to action, make it easy for that of your customers to be able to take that next step. That all those things are really, really important. What I will say for this, because we've already touched base on this, is if you're just getting started, honestly, have your videos everywhere. As you progress and as you're taking steps in the right direction, ideally with LinkedIn and the social platforms, we want to have things that are shorter and then have a link to the long form of that in terms of the call to action. But we want to make sure we're grabbing their attention. With YouTube, we can once again have more of that long form because the mindset's different. But we want to make sure that we're showcasing all of these things on our website as well. Because remember, some of our prospects and our customers are visiting us on our website. Some of them are visiting us on YouTube. Some of them are visiting us on social. Some of them on email. So we want to make sure that we're having that omnipresence, if that makes sense. So now let's get into some quick live demos. And as time permits, I'm gonna showcase that of LinkedIn messaging, video messaging. We'll walk through Loom, and as time permits, we'll get into Descript. So one quick thing before I stop sharing my screen here is on LinkedIn, and yeah, apologies for the cheesy smile here, by the way, folks. So when you're on LinkedIn on your mobile device and you go into the messaging aspect, which is going to be in the top right-hand side, what you'll want to do is you will click on this paperclip here. And when you click on this, what's going to happen is it's going to pop open this little dialog box, which is, do you want to send a doc, take a photo, take a photo, send a photo that's on your reel, take a video, which is what we're going to do. You want to send a GIF or mention someone. So when you click on take a video, this is what pops up. Now, typically, or technically, the camera will be facing forward. So you have to swap it so that it actually is facing you. And then what happens is, let me do the same thing here. By the way, and before I actually demonstrate how this works, I would imagine that many of us here, like myself, receive hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails every single day. and most of them are in the delete, and a few are saved and a few are reacted to immediately. When you get into LinkedIn in terms of messages, I get every single day, I get multiple solicitations on LinkedIn. And I would imagine I'm in good company here. Now, how many of us receive a video every single day? How many of us have ever received, I guess a quick, if you've, in the chat, if you've ever received a video message from someone else, can you type 1? And if you've not ever received a video message, can you type 2 in the chat? And I appreciate that. Yeah, see, most of it is, and I'll participate with this as well, but I know most of you are just a host and panelist here. Yeah, no, I appreciate everyone sharing their feedback. So it's literally as simple as what I'm about to share you. Okay, so let me think about what I want to say. And I'm going to send a quick message to Zoe. Let's see. And by the way, this is once again what I was just, oh, see, now it's showing my coats. Maybe I shouldn't show that. It's showing the back of my office. But all right, let's see here. Hey, Zoe, I hope you are well. I wanted to say thank you once again for all of your help with putting today's session together, along with all the other great things that you do to help keep me on track. I won't keep this too long because we're live on a webinar, but I wanted to demonstrate the power of video and how, rather than just sending someone a simple text-based message, which potentially maybe my intention with one word, because keep in mind, one word, one word could be perceived multiple different ways, but when you're seeing the look in my, the look on my face, how I'm fluctuating my voice, it's a lot more challenging to misconstrue what it is that I'm trying to get accomplished. So we will touch base here shortly after the webinar. Okay, Zoe, hope you so then well. I wanted to say thank you once again for all of your help with putting today's session together, along with all the other great things that you do. Okay, so help keep me on track. So then from there, I literally just hit send, and it's in the process of uploading. So what I will say is, if you're not using this, use it today. Like, this is one of the simple, easy things that can be done. Maybe you just want to thank someone, maybe someone, and by the way, oh, awesome. I'm just reading in the chat here. One of my very good friends just said, I won't reference your name because you sent this just to myself. I just did my first one. Sent to you. Oh, awesome. Well, I look forward to receiving your video. Thank you. It's not just about generating business, but it's about demonstrating things and things in this regard. Like I'll share with you one of the things that I've done in the past is, I had a prospect a couple of years back that was, we'll say, was ghosting us, so to speak. And rather than just sending an email that says not feeling the love, I verbalized that in an actual video. And in this particular case, there was a good reason as to why we were being ghosted. But the key here is I got a response. And that's the that's part of the key here. So, all right. So let's just see here. So let's actually take into consideration. I'm going to share my screen here once again. Okay. So with Loom, by the way, once again, Loom has, and this is the desktop app of Loom. And Loom is I happen to have the paid version, which I believe is like $5 to $10 per month, and it's not very expensive. But to be honest, you don't need the paid version of this. Use the free version. As you see value, say, no, I need some more of these features. Then you can upgrade to that of the paid. And you can see here, what we want to do is, let me just see here. So what we want to do is, I happen to have two screens. So I want to record screen 2. And if you'll see here, this is my camera, of course. So I can move this anywhere. And let's see here. So we can know as to what camera we want. We can know as to whether you want audio. And by the way, maybe I don't want a camera. In this particular case, I do. This will let you know which microphone you want for it to use. There's a lot of these different bells and features. Honestly, I don't use all of them. But what I'm going to do here is I'll show you exactly how this works. So I'm going to actually, yeah. So you'll see 3, 2, 1. There's the chime, and then now it's actually recording. Okay, so let's just say, for example, and I know I'm not being super professional about this, but let's just say, for example, I happen to be, this is a mock-up of something that we're creating, and it's like, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, here's a poorly done mock-up because when I say I did it, this is a picture of me, so maybe I should, anyway, all right, let me get over myself here. It's like, once again, I can demo how this works. I'm moving my screen. Once again, let's just say if I'm showing things here, I can move this out of the way. So it's like, well, here's this or what have you, and all these other good things. It's just that opportunity to be able to demonstrate this. So then once I hit stop, first of all, if I need to pause and then re-go because it's like, well, I'm waiting, something's going to take too long and things in that regard. So, that's the case. And then when we're done, it stops. And then what'll happen is I will be able to share this. So this is where I can share. I'm not going to go through that process now, but that's something that can be done in that regard. So you can share this by a link, or you can add individuals to this. And by the way, you'll know when individuals watch this as well. So there are some data and analytics with that as well. I know we're running up against time, so apologies for keeping everyone. Let me just quickly walk through that of Descript, and I want to showcase two quick things. So with Descript, I'm going to quickly play this video, and actually I need to stop so you can hear the audio. So let me stop and then reshare. Hopefully this will work, and you can all see my Descript screen, correct? Okay, now I know for a fact I have the right one here. Okay, so I'll quickly play just a couple seconds of this. Video is a really powerful tool for that of your marketing. But what happens if you forget what you were about to say, like right about now? And if you don't have a video editor, well, this is where Descript to the rescue. So, okay, so what I will say really quickly is, in Descript, remember I'd mentioned a couple minutes ago that you may not be a professional video editor, and this is where you can literally select the text, delete that, and by the way, let me replay this, and just like that, out of your marketing. But what happens if you forget what you were about to say, like right about now? Well, this is where Descript to the rescue. And mind you, I can do some editing to add a little bit more of a pause as an FYI, but it's literally just as simple as that. So I'm going to undo that. And one of the other quick actions I'll just reference really quickly, and I apologize that I'm a little over time here, is we can remove filler words. And it'll, using AI, it's detected that like, well, like, right, those are considered filler words. And what we can do is we can literally delete those words. We can delete them and replace it with a gap we can ignore, or we can remove them from the transcript. So let's just say we want to do this and remove all, and we play this again really quickly. That of your marketing. But what happens if you forget what you were about to say about now? And if you don't have a video editor. So, look, with that said, I know that we're once again a little over time here. These tools are incredibly powerful. I will say, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us today. I apologize that I'm 5 minutes over, because I know you probably have, many of you have meetings. Appreciate everyone's feedback. And yes, I do see, well, some of you, well, thank you, Lenny, because you said to everyone, and Heather, thank you. You guys are all awesome. I really appreciate this. I am hopeful that once again, there was at least 1 or 2 or 3 actionable insights or takeaways from today's session. Really excited about next month. If we're going to be at an upcoming event, I would love to spend some time together. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, let's please keep this conversation going. And until next time, make it a great day. Thank you so much.